All right, welcome everybody. Just trying to get a little bit of content for you guys. But of course, it's this time of year, rainy and wet. But that's all right. We're gonna take a little quick stroll. I'm gonna see if there's any antlers. But the main point of this is the plans for this property this year. I'm really excited to share. So I'm gonna come film, throw some overlays, give you guys an idea of what we want to accomplish. You guys can let me know if that's a good idea, bad idea, or what you think. So, all right, plot number 1. We know it from last year. This is the only one we got in. This side we actually planted, this side we just mowed. Nice grass grew in. So with this one, we're gonna expand it, but there's a fence right there. There's a barbed wire fence that kind of cuts this property off in a funky way. We gotta get rid of that fence. That's step 1. We're gonna mow over that hill. We're gonna mow over that hill. And this is gonna be the big plot, the main food source for this property. We'll be right up here, front of the property, hopefully, and just get the deer used to coming down to the south side of the property. Because right now, there's 2 trails. They just go right along the back, and then a little ways, just past halfway, there's a trail that goes. And they just go east and west in here. So we want to build a nice big food plot up here, where the deer will come to visit and eat. It'll be a main food source before they hit up the actual ag fields on other properties. So that's the plan for this one. I don't know what we're gonna plant yet. I might just spend another year if we just mow it. I mean, this was nice grass under here, under that stuff. So we might just mow it and leave this part alone for another year. But I mean, you can see how much room we have to mow. And then we're gonna leave these bushes and the trees to give cover to the road and, you know, the house and stuff, so they feel safe coming in here any time of day. I mean, if you remember, as soon as we had this mowed, we had some big bucks walking through here last year. So they already started coming this way with just that little bit of work that we did last year with the time we had. So, I mean, look at this. This is already growing in. That looks kind of nice. So let's take you over to the other part where we're going to put a trail plot in. And I'll show you guys that. So this is where, so we got a box blind stand built there. We're going to add on to it. But this will be the first true addition. We have a 4-wheeler trail. I'm standing on it. It's the western boundary of the property. Everything to the east of this, until the bush lines and trees, I'm hoping we can turn into a plot. It'll be a fairly thin one, probably only about 25 yards wide, but it will slow the deer traffic. If they're coming down this trail to get across the road or to some bedding or another field, we want them to stop and we want them to graze for a minute. So that's what we're gonna get going on here. It's not gonna be very big. It's gonna be about 80 by 20, 80 yards by 20 yards, if that, maybe 50 yards. But we're just gonna mow this. But what I'm seeing and why I wanted to come out here is, I mean, Google Earth, you can make all the plans you want, but then you can't see stuff like this. This water's pooling a lot. I'm hoping it isn't a swamp. I'm hoping it's just the ground is still frozen. This kind of throws a wrench in making this a plot. It'll have to be a lot thinner than I wanted it to be. Step number 2 is getting this trail plot put in, just to bring the deer, again, more to the south as they cut east and west across it. But let's go to step 3 and the final step, and the one I'm actually most excited for. As you can see, so here's, you know, the corner of that fence that I'm talking about, and it cuts right along this old 4-wheeler trail. So these deer don't even have a chance. You know, deer are just like humans. They take, you know, path of least resistance when they're not afraid of anything. So they're not going south here. They've just been, their whole lives, everything this herd has known is just going, you know, to the east over here and feeding in the ag fields and on other properties. So we got to get rid of this fence. We get that trail plot in. We got the big food plot up front, and then just up here, I want to get a 3rd one in. So this is the last part of the plot. It's on the far west side of the property. It's on the far west side of the property. It's a pine tree row and then an open field and more woods back over that way. But here we are. This is a great open area that we can whack down, and this will be fairly large. This will be a pretty big plot. It won't be as big as the one up front, but it will be large enough to hold deer for a little bit longer than they have been staying on the property. It's gonna be pretty big. It's gonna be pretty nice. Ideally, and I think we can almost see it, I'm gonna trim a few trees that way. There's a tree stand there. And we might be able to get a second box blind set up just to the south here, and that would be ideal. But that's the plan as of right now for this property. So let me get where it's not raining, talk to you guys a little bit more. just like that, we're out of the rain, we're back at the house, and I have you on my computer because I want to expand a little bit more on our plans for this property in general. So as you can see, I already walked you out there, I've shown you where we're gonna put these plots, and I drew on the map where we want them, but there's a little more to this story. So I'm gonna use brown. I'm gonna show you those deer trails I was talking about. They go like this, east and west, east and west. This is egg field up here, a whole bunch of egg field over here, and that direction is where all the big bucks were killed this year. We have this east and west here, and then we have, that's really it for major deer trails. The rest are four-wheeler trails, and we currently have four-wheeler trails that go along here, and then that's what this deer trail is here. And then we have one that comes right through the middle of the food plot, straight up here to one of the holes in the fence that we created, and then we have one that kind of starts up here. We got to clear it out a little bit more, but it goes just like this along this side, and that's what we have in place right now. So now this is minus the food plots. This is the current setup that we are running off of, and this is where I'm building the information from. This is what I'm guessing to do, and I'm going to start at the beginning. So clearly step one is there's a fence that goes right here. We have to get rid of that. That's going to be step one, because right now there's no deer trails that go east or west here, because there's, the deer have to jump the fence, and they're just like humans. They're going to take the path of least resistance. We cut a hole here. They use it nonstop. We cut a hole here, and they instantly started using that as well. So we need to get the fence completely removed and open up this property to all kinds of deer movement. So, like I said, let's get rid of the fence as if it's no longer there. Let's forward the show. Close enough. So now this is our phase one of the property. This is what we need to get accomplished. Mowed, fence removed. Step two will be why I brought you to the computer. Creating the deer movement that we want. Currently, there's not really a trail that goes north or south here anywhere, and there's nothing stopping them from going east and west on these two. So I don't really want to affect this east and west at all, because we're putting plots very close to this trail here. So we're gonna leave this completely alone, make sure it's completely open, maybe throw some grass seed on it, and get it to grow up with some foliage, but we want them to use this east and west just like they always have been. But now this fence will no longer be stopping them, so they'll hit up these food plots more easily. But what we need to do a little bit of hinge cutting, block this trail here and here, maybe even another one here, so they completely stop. I mean, this is a really thick trail. It was an old four-wheeler trail, and get them to completely stop using it. There's a big swamp here, so they can't really go around to the north. They're going to come south. Use brown for what we want the deer to start using, right? So if we hinge cut this trail up so that trees are across it, they're gonna have to come south. And if they come south that little bit, this is a really fairly thick thicket, if you will. So they're gonna come all the way to this trail here, and that's going to create new deer movement. It's going to create new deer habits. And if they start using this trail, they're going to start feeding in this field. They'll get on the trail and start feeding in this field, so on and so forth, right? That's the idea behind these plots and this setup that I'm making. And then if we've blocked this, we have a four-wheeler trail here to get the deer to come down this open trail. As soon as they get on the property, they come this way, right? Get up these foods, start bedding in here. I would like to make one more fresh trail through the thicker stuff, a thin one, not so much a wide open four-wheeler trail, but just wide enough for a person to walk through. Trim the branches, make it nice and open, to come right through here around this swamp and right on top of this old trail here, this four-wheeler trail we got going right up the middle. So that's what we want to create. This is like the phase one, if you will, of this project. We're gonna get fence removed, food plots mowed. I'm not really gonna plant anything. I'm not gonna till up the land immediately or anything like that. And as of today, that plan may change, but as of right now, just get them mowed, get the grass growing, and then get these trails blocked off a little bit. Create some new trails for those deer to use to go north and south in our property, because the whole goal of this entire project is get them to just spend more time on the property. It's too small You're never gonna keep deer here. They're not gonna hold out in a 13-acre property and just live in that little area their whole lives. All we can do is try to get them to come there more often, stay longer when they're there. So with that thought in mind, the staying there longer, they need to feel safe. So as soon as we hinge cut these areas and get this trail in, this whole section becomes a no-go zone. Anybody, we never walk up in there, right? I already know for a fact, I have my trail camera plenty of times, they're bedding here. Create what we want to create up in here. It's going to open up a few more bedding areas because this is kind of a high point here. Hopefully we get them to bed there. And this is pines. They love to bed in pines, and it's the highest part of the entire property is right up in here. So if we create a no-go zone, we create some bedding up in here. The ultimate idea, you know, if it works perfectly as planned, and we create this bedding, if you have 200 acres, you can manage a herd on that. You can create areas where they never even leave your property. I'm just trying to shrink that down into spend more time on the property. You know, that's the idea behind everything. And then ideally, in a perfect universe, this would here become a no-go for humans as well. Maybe hinge cut a couple trees to create some bedding in the middle of the property as well. But we'll see how that works out. You know, we're gonna be moving in and out of here a lot this year, trying to create these things, make it happen. So, and that's it. That's the ultimate idea for this property. So this is, oh, hold on one second here. Let's do this. So this is where I leave you guys. This is where you guys come in to help. Comment below. Let me know what you think of the current plan. If you think it needs some adjustments or if you think we're crazy, I don't care. Just make sure you comment something down below. Maybe comment something you'd like to see from these projects, from this update. And this is where I leave you guys. Make sure you click on, I don't know which side it is, the little pop-ups of the suggested video for you or a playlist that shows up. Make sure you hit the little circle on this side to subscribe, and make sure you're watching the channel. If you're watching this video and you made it this far, you might as well subscribe if you're not already. But until next time, usually I say I'll see you in the woods, see you in the water. You know, I don't know where I'm gonna see you. So until next time, stay safe, don't get the corona, and we'll see you later.